Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of eCommerce Lab by Ecomcy, the place of air related to Amazon, FBA, private label, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we're bringing our special guest. His name is Paul Rafelson, one of the founders and CEO of eCommerce Law, which I would say is a top consultancy out there when it comes to any legal issues around, the Amazon ecosystem and e-commerce in general. And that's why I wanted to bring Paul today, because actually before going live, there were a lot of topics we were already going over in terms of, what is happening in the exit side of things of Amazon, or what is happening with suspensions, and all the things that have to do with, Amazon customer support, which I'm sure is something a lot of you guys are struggling right now. So it's going to be a lot of back and forth, and hopefully you can get some insights out of that. So Paul, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Thanks so much for bringing me on. It's
Pleasure.
We're running into each other so many times. I'm like,
I know.
Exciting to be here.
I know. We met actually a couple of years ago, if I'm not mistaken, at Seller Sessions here in the UK.
Yes.
And since then, we've just been seeing each other every single event, pretty much.
Absolutely. All over the world. It's globetrotting. So
yes. So I guess if you don't mind, just give us, a quick rundown on you, the company, everything, and then of course we can dive into the topic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. So I have two companies, and just a little bit of my background. I started everything, this law firm and our e-commerce account health agency, which just focuses on account health. SellerBasics it all started about 8 years ago. I spent most of my life, I was a corporate lawyer. I worked for Microsoft, I worked for Walmart, I worked for General Electric. And right around the time I was leaving General Electric, thinking, kind of taking a hiatus and thinking of what I wanted to do the next chapter of my life and where I wanted to go, I wrote a blog post. It was about sales tax, and it was a hot topic issue that I happen to know a lot about. And it just snowballed into this law firm. So 8 years ago, we were fighting the governments and helping Amazon sellers deal with these crazy tax issues at the time, and then just kind of realizing from there that all this corporate experience I have in global commerce, working for these huge companies, it actually applies to small businesses too, because 30 years ago, if I said, I was a global small business, that would sound silly. But today, it's all our clients are global small businesses. So there just needed to be somebody. I just saw this opportunity, this need to serve these global small businesses with knowledge of how global commerce works from a legal perspective. And that's kind of how we got to be here. And then while doing that, we created SellerBasics, because if there's one business I don't love, it's account health. And
I think nobody.
It's a painful business to be in, and I don't really look at it as for us. Like, we don't really look at it as a business. It's more of something we have to do. That over the years, our clients were just, we realized that being lawyers, we're actually really good at it, and so we created sort of like an agency called SellerBasics, which basically just helps. It's a subscription model. So it's the first thing I love about it. It's $100 a month, and it's like health insurance for your Amazon business or e-commerce business. So if something happens to your account while you're a member, we just go and work through the Amazon ecosystem. We work through your appeals. We work through escalation to our legal contacts, whatever it needs to be. And it's all just part of your subscription price. There's no upcharges for escalating it to this person or any of those types of things. And what I love about it, one is, it really is a great model. It helps pay our staff. That we have a whole dedicated account health staff that are really good. And that it's designed to be aligned with you. So when people, when you sell suspensions as the main business, you kind of have to pretend like you're really sad for the person who's suspended. But these businesses thrive on the fact that people are in trouble. I love that our business is we don't want you to get suspended either. We're aligned with you on that point. So we built a structure that's kind of for the seller, and I love it. And I think it's how I feel about the suspension industry. I wish it didn't exist. And if I could do something with it, I would. Because there's so much we do on the legal side that's, like you said, exits and other things that were so much more interesting. But dealing with Amazon, unfortunately, is a necessary evil.
I know. I guess talking about suspensions, which is, I think it's a good point to start today's conversation, is we've been seeing lately how Amazon's getting more harsh when it comes to that. Like they're being more strict on the type of suspensions, and also it's getting tougher now to get some accounts back. So I guess something I would like to hear from you, I'm sure you're experiencing this with your clients firsthand, is like, what kind of suspensions you're seeing them are coming back, or maybe are becoming more common or becoming more difficult? Like, what is your feeling on that right now?
Yeah, I mean, Amazon's a bit all over the place. We're seeing an uptick in, insert slash review related
Mhm.
suspensions, and it's not consistent because, Amazon has, and this is what we do. And as lawyers and our para staff, this is what we're trained to do, is to go through policies and pile through the written documents and say, Amazon, what you're doing is wrong. It's inconsistent. So, it might be, somebody said, hey, if you have a problem with your product, feel free to contact us and we'd love to make it right. And Amazon treats that as filtering for reviews. And we're like, that's not what that
Yeah.
is. And so it's just, there's a lot of craziness on the one side of Amazon, just, tweaking the policies. And then all of a sudden it just goes over the top. Another one, people make, you get a compliance issue, and then the next thing you know, you try to fix the compliance issue. Maybe your label just needed to be updated, and Amazon's saying it's a new ASIN. Well, Amazon, you update your own labels all the time, and it's not a new ASIN.
Yeah.
Why can our clients? They're saying, well, it's a new formula. No, we didn't change the formula. We just changed the label. Then there's this, there's also this other side of enforcement where Amazon's just, there's no second chances. So if you really do something wrong, it's a lot harder to get Amazon's forgiveness than it has in the past. So the old plan of action model, I mean, that's been kind of gone for a while, and there's still a lot of consultants out there, and I don't mean to knock them, but that still feel like you have to tell Amazon you did something wrong or else you're not going to get reinstated. And that's just not the case. In fact, we advocate strongly against admitting fault, and a lot of times our clients think they did something wrong. We're like, no, actually you were fine. You understood the policy the way it was meant to be understood. It's Amazon that's not getting it. There's something's wrong.
Yeah. So I guess on that front, then it means that the time of trying ourselves to figure out the appeal by doing multiple plan of actions is kind of coming to an end, because now it seems like you only have one shot at getting back to Amazon with a clear kind of either justifying why you did it, or saying that yes, it was your mistake, because it seems like if you start doing the back and forth, it's like you're not going to get the account back, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. It's just you got to be careful what you say. So sometimes people will jump in and say, so, if you submit not a very good appeal, you don't really call them plan, now it's more of an appeal. Like, I didn't quite do what you said I did, or there was a misunderstanding. I don't think it hurts you if you just kind of didn't do a good job on it. But what people do wrong is they say things they shouldn't have said, right? They assume Amazon's right about something, and they're already into apology mode, and they're almost making it worse for themselves. So it's this is where it's frustrating. So then we have to walk back what you're saying to try to get it fixed. And so it's not so much that, taking a crack at appealing it yourself is going to necessarily, harm your case. Is what you say. And that's what, and that's the distinction. It's like, just be careful what you say. And I don't know if it's just because we do this day in and day out, but you'd be surprised how many people miss the point because they just don't read what Amazon's trying to say. And it's not their fault. It's like, you guys you're sellers, you sell. Our world is, my Health Count Health Team world is this. They deal with this nonsense all day long. They speak the Amazon language that Amazon's trying to say. We know what they're trying to say. We don't make assumptions.
And you remove the emotional side, which is a big thing. When you're a seller, that all your money is here and you get suspended. That's
right. And you just go on this tirade, and it doesn't do anybody any good. So it's, it's a tough world. I don't obviously recommend doing it yourself, but it's not so much you get one shot. It's just that you can screw it up pretty badly. What I wouldn't do is go, firing off emails to the executive team and stuff like that. That can get really nasty as well. But we have a pretty good process. We've developed a relationship with Amazon's team over the years, legal team, compliance team, and we have a pretty good process where if we see a case, and we say, look, Amazon. What we like to do is we like to say this: we're going to run you through the appeal process our way, which we think is the right way, right? And if it doesn't work, it's one of two things: either your case is really not that good, or Amazon has it completely wrong. When Amazon has it completely wrong, we then bring that to the attention of our people at Amazon, and we say, look, we think the Amazon system got this wrong. We think your system's broken here. And we've helped them troubleshoot many issues they didn't even know were happening because of that. Because we said, look, here's what happened. Here's what the seller did. Here's how we appealed it. Here's what Amazon keeps saying every time. And we're able to show almost like debugging the process and helping, from that approach, we go to Amazon and say, hey, can you take a second look at this? And we build a strong case for that. Sometimes the case is just, it's no good. Like it's, you sold products, you're a reseller, you sold products on Amazon that you bought off of eBay. Not a good idea, right? Like there's not much we can do about that. Amazon's super strict about invoices these days for resellers. So, yes. But it is harder today than it ever has been to deal with Amazon. And you can hear the frustration. I can hear it among the colleagues, the other suspension people. Like it just feels we were maybe making progress. Now it's just like maybe with AI, it's just getting all over the place, but it's rough today.
Yeah. And you mentioned inserts. That's actually an interesting thing I wanted to quickly touch on, because at the end of the day, pretty much, I would say 90% of sellers are using inserts, right? And we know for a fact you need to take care of the lingo that you use in terms of asking for review here and there. But I'm surprised to see that some brands have been taken down by offering like real kind of branding kind of benefits, like maybe a simple warranty or a simple download or a simple kind of follow-up. So it seems that Amazon doesn't even want that anymore, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems like. And this is an interesting thing that we're still developing, because we're reading, we look at, there's a training module on inserts, and none of this is in there, right? It doesn't say you're not allowed to offer, subsequent services. If you have you buy a Nintendo Switch from Nintendo on Amazon, you're going to get Nintendo Online. You're going to have maybe a warranty card opportunity. I mean, like all this stuff that big companies do, but it's like, because we're small, Amazon just like punches us down. But so, we're pushing back on that a lot, because we're sort of saying, we get what a review filter is. Review filtering is when you say, if you had a great experience, leave a review. If not, then let us make it right, that sort of thing. But when you're just saying, let us make it right if you have a problem, without sort of hinting that this is, we're trying to push you towards a review or not a review, that's a different animal. But it can be subtle things. Sometimes if you're allowed to ask Amazon, you're allowed to actually ask to leave a review on your insert card. But if you put like the picture of the Amazon 5-star system, Amazon interprets that as you're asking for a 5-star review. And that's, there's so many little nuances, but yeah, some of it doesn't seem fair to us. Some of it does seem like this is just normal. This is what Samsung does. This is what LG does. Every company does this with these inserts. Why is it any different? Because you're small? And that we don't think is fair. And so we've been pushing back on that quite a bit.
Cool. Now, when it comes to AI, like I also see a lot of people lately doing the listing with things such as, ChatGPT, and they're pretty much doing the title, bullet points and everything, sometimes even images. But sometimes these kind of tools, not only ChatGPT, tools in general that do listings, they don't always consider terms and conditions, right? And that might end up putting words or claims or things that you shouldn't be putting. And people sometimes, because they don't see that, and they're just doing things on the fly, they omit it, and a lot of people is getting also surprised or suspended because of that. So I also seen that that's been a big reason why we're seeing more suspension, people being more, I guess, in autopilot, right, and doing their own due diligence.
I think people get false confidence with the AI, and I know that sounds convenient for somebody in the consulting world. I'll admit, like, we're going to be obsolete. We're just not obsolete yet, right? Like, there's going to be a time when the compute gets to a point where, really the only lawyers you're going to need are the ones that go to court. Like, it's going to get good, but we're far from that point in terms of where we are today, right? I use ChatGPT all the time, but I don't trust it, and I don't rely on it because it's wrong. It's lazy, and I've tried the other ones, Manus and all the, and they're all good, and they do certain things really well, but they're not great. And they mess up a lot, and those little mess ups can be a problem. We have, you mentioned false claims, and we actually have I have another business in my law practice. We call it weaponized compliance, where we actually do the reverse, where we just say to our clients, look, if your competitors are doing this wrong, let us help you get them taken down. We'll get their ASINs destroyed, right? If they're making claims about their product, 100% natural, organic, whatever, our position is you can't just go in and change that and fix that. You need a new ASIN, You got to start from
Exactly.
zero because you've made your whole review system is based on false claims.
Exactly.
Right. So we actually offer this service called weaponized compliance to our law firm, where we help companies take down competitors that are making false claims, or they don't have their FDA registrations or their EPA registrations, or their whatever the issue is that your competitors aren't doing right. It could even be hijacking. We like built an entire business around helping our clients just like destroy their competition overnight by just getting Amazon to enforce the rules evenly.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Cool. So I guess when it comes to all these suspensions we're encountering, like of course with the inserts and everything we've been discussing, like I'm assuming, and this is something we briefly touched on before going live, is that when it comes to exiting some of these brands, it must be also getting more and more challenging, because now when you're buying some of these brands, these are things that can come and buy you after you do a transaction. You buy some of these brands, and then I guess the due diligence now has to be even more robust than before, right? Like, what is your experience with that as well? Yeah,
that's funny. It's 100% on target with the issue.
yeah.
It's a major issue when you're exiting a brand. So we, just a little bit of background, between the height of the Amazon aggregator bubble and today, we've closed, I think, close to or above $1 billion in deals for our clients. So we've done a lot. We've been through, we were doing dozens of deals during the height of the aggregator sort of coming out of the pandemic. And we're still doing deals today. But you're right in that. Yeah, you're going to, when you sell your business, you're going to make a promise about the condition of your business, and and if that promise isn't correct, you're going to give the buyer the opportunity to claw back money that they paid you. Obviously, if there's any earnouts or notes that they owe you, they can cancel those or take out what's owed. You're putting yourself in a lot of risk, because when we promise that our business
is clean, I guess.
Yeah, it's complying with the law, and then it's all of a sudden you're making claims that are illegal, and those claims are what's driving your sales, and all of a sudden you have to remove that claim. That's a huge breach. So we the problem with due diligence is that nobody really wants to do it. Like, it's kind of funny, these deals move quick. Even today, you're not seeing a lot of people really doing heavy due diligence. They want to rely on your statements that are made in the contract, such as, I represent warrant that, I comply with all federal trade laws and whatever. And if that's wrong, then you're in a lot of heat. And then the other thing to understand about due diligence in most deals is that even if you disclose it in due diligence, even if it's disclosed, a lot of times buyers will say, we don't want to include what you've disclosed in due diligence in the final agreement. So unless we make what's called a disclosure and put it in plain English as sort of an attachment to the final agreement, you're in breach, right? Even if you can't just go to the court and say, well, it's in the due diligence folder. Most contracts in the market today will say, we disavow the due diligence folder, because buyers don't want to be beholden to, I should have seen something in the thousands of documents you uploaded. They don't want to be in that situation. So, so this is why we as lawyers, we do both buy side and sell side, but particularly on sell side, we're very, very careful with our clients to understand their business, to look at that. We actually look at everything they're doing, we go beyond their due diligence, because sometimes even the buyer's not asking the right questions, just to make sure our clients are what we call sufficiently disclosed and therefore protected from those claims, and that can raise different negotiations. But yeah, I mean, selling your business, again, one of the dumbest things to do with ChatGPT or use some broker. Please do not use the broker's template or anything like that, because it's the most complicated transaction most of us will ever be. It's not like buying a house. It's super, super complicated.
It's much more than that. Yeah. In fact, that's why I'm asking you, because I feel, let's be honest, a lot of the successful brands out there that are sometimes dominant on their niche is because they might have started during a phase on Amazon where a lot of things were allowed. Like, you were maybe allowed to buy reviews, you were allowed to do certain claims, you were allowed to do things with the inserts, and now that's not the case anymore. And I know some people now is in that kind of confusion state, like, okay, yeah, my brand's very successful now, I don't do any of those things, but I did it 6 years ago, so can that come back and bite me? You see what I mean? So that
100%, if it can bite, if Amazon can if there's a risk that Amazon could take that out against you, right? Could take it out, could say, hey, I know you thought it was okay to do review solicitations and rebates 6 years ago, but that doesn't mean it was, and we're still gonna shut down your listing. I mean, yeah, you're still at risk, which is why disclosure is so important when you're going through these deals, and being upfront with them about that. You don't want to hide things like that. And you have to understand, the standard deal, if you sign on the dotted line when you get the buyer's first draft, which is going to be the most favorable to the buyer, they're going to say you can be liable to the buyer for more than what you were paid. So, I mean, it's obviously we do our really hard to negotiate limitations on what they can be liable for and put caps on it. But I'm just saying the default is, if you're not lawyering up and you're just thinking you're going to sign on that this is all boilerplate, what I say about boilerplate is that if you walk onto an airplane and you look, you're on a Boeing 747, you look at the cockpit and go, that's boilerplate cockpit, right? Well, doesn't mean you know what it does. You don't know what those button switches do. And that's really what a purchase agreement for an exit is like. It's like you've got a million dials and switches. Those dials, instead of actual buttons, it's like it could be commas, it could be phrases like to your knowledge versus to your actual knowledge. They all have meaning, and they all very much affect how the contract will be read. If, God forbid, you're in a situation where you've got a very upset buyer. So it's really important, absolutely, to be aware that anything you did in the past has the potential to come back and bite you. Even UPC is one that
exactly.
A lot of people bought 5-cent barcodes, and then Amazon one day decides to crack down on non-GS1 compliant barcodes, and you're like, right. We used to get into these big fights with the aggregators about who's, because we would say we don't really own the barcode, like these were non-compliant, and they didn't want us to disclose it because they didn't want us to quote unquote risk shift. But we advocate for our clients, like, no, guys, you're the big sophisticated aggregator. You figure out how to deal with this. But this is what it is. Like our clients, everybody was buying 5-cent barcodes in 2018, 2017. That's the way it was done. So either you accept that risk, or we'll find somebody who does, especially back then.
Everybody was buying any brand.
They were just desperate to get a deal closed so they could get their funding. So it was a funny time. But I mean, it is what you do in the past definitely can come back.
Cool. So I guess to start coming to a close in terms of insights and maybe also advice moving forward, like everything we're seeing right now, Paul, what would you say are the top things people have to be careful about in terms of maybe things that are happening with suspension, things that are happening legally, things that are happening exiting? Like, what would be your top tip? Maybe top 3 tips that you when it comes to.
Yeah, I mean, it boils down to compliance, right? Like you just have to do it right. You can't. There's no more room for error anymore. Amazon doesn't have appetite for non-serious people. If you're not a serious person, you're going to learn real quick that Amazon doesn't want you there. So be a serious person. Stop. You may have gotten this far DIYing it, but work with a lawyer, like especially when it comes to compliance. It doesn't have to be me. I mean, I'm just here to tell you what I would do. But compliance is everything, whether it's, again, bullets or how your product is made, how your product is tested. It's really, really important that you understand compliance, because you may not get a second chance if something isn't right. Amazon gets really, really harsh right now on these things. The other thing is, IP. People should, when you think about your valuation, I always say, we build brands over the years. Maybe if you're a one product company, maybe you don't have this issue, but if you have multiple products, multiple variations, maybe you have different flavors of a product or different scents, right? Think about the branding there, because again, if you sell your business one day, you may have to represent that you own these sub brands, and you thought, hey, I brand registered my main brand. I never thought about brand registering my sub brand. So what I mean by that is, like, if you look at Kellogg's cereal, right? There's Apple Jacks, there's Fruit Loops, right? Those are brands too. So like you might think, if I was Kellogg's cereal on Amazon, I would just brand register Kellogg. So I'm done with all my branding. No, you want to go in and you want to register your trademarks for these other brands, because you don't want to find out one day that your best-selling product name isn't actually registerable. Like then you're trying to sell your business, and you can't rep and warrant that you own the IP because you have a problem. Yeah. So understand your IP is the most important thing. And then lastly, I think it's just again, just don't go it alone. Get help. It's just this is too big to mess up. And if you're struggling, or even if you're not struggling, like it's just good to get evaluations, seek out help, and just be proactive. Announce, what do they say? An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. So,
well said.
It's what we preach. And that's why, with our SellerBasics thing, the $100 a month thing, the other thing people get with that is they get free legal consultations. They can go on their portal and schedule a call with our attorneys, me being one of them, and just have a 20-minute chat about like, hey, this is something on my mind. Should I be thinking about it? And
that's super important.
That's why we did it that way, because we just wanted people to start having conversations about issues. Stop asking Facebook groups. They don't know. People don't know the answer in Facebook.
You get the worst advice from those groups, so don't do it.
It really is. I don't say, I know it sounds self-serving to say, but it really is. It's god awful. And it's like people talk about what they got away with, not what's right or wrong. They're two different things.
Yeah, I know. Like one person's specific situation doesn't mean it's going to play out the same for you. So,
exactly. Sometimes people get lucky on Amazon. You're like, oh, this person, I can't sell this product, but this other guy's selling it. Right. This is why we have another program called Weaponized Supplies. We can help you take them down. But the reality is, Amazon's inconsistent. Sometimes people get lucky. Sometimes there's insider shady stuff going on in other countries. Don't put up with that stuff either. But Amazon is certainly not a consistent platform in their enforcement. So just because it works for one doesn't mean it's the right answer. It's going to work forever, or it's going to work for you.
Yeah. Also, Paul, so it's been a pleasure to have you in the show. I'm sure somebody want to most likely reach out to discuss exiting, suspensions, all the things that we discussed today. So how people can find you? I'm gonna reach on you.
Yeah, so my email address is paul@ecom.law. I'm trying to figure out how to write that here.
I'm gonna put it in the description as well, so people can find it.
paul@ecom.law. You can email me anytime. We also have our sellerbasics.com. Just go to sellerbasics.com, kind of as spelled out here, and check out our cool little program that's been going for, we started right before the pandemic, and we're still going strong today. So check that out. But just email me, paul@ecom.law. Check out our website, ecom.law. Feel free to reach out, and
awesome.
We'd love to help. Whatever your legal issue is with Amazon, we're doing it. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So I guess see you in the next one, most likely at the upcoming events. Are you going to accelerate by any chance? Or any of them?
99% sure I have to go. Yes. I used to live in Seattle, so I'm excited to go back.
No excuse.
So hopefully I'll see you there. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.